Hi guys, I'm back again with you guys with another PT tutorial that could be helpful for you guys. So today we're going to talk about one more type of question for PT, describe image. So as it's quite obvious from the name itself, this task requires you to describe something that you see on the screen. So it is generally a mathematical diagram where you get some numbers. You have to make sure that you describe a few of them, pick some important ones and try to describe them. And in this particular type of question, you will have to make sure that you keep your eye on the clock because you only get about 40 seconds to describe the image. So the functioning of this question, let's do it one by one. So in this question type, you need to explain a certain image, most probably something with mathematics or just a random picture. So you'll be given 25 seconds to prepare for before you start speaking. So you could take a few notes here and there on your erasable notepad that PT examination has. So you can do that. Make sure that you make a quick record of the highest, the lowest, if you wish. And look out for that beep sound, because once you hear that sound, you should get started, because if you don't speak for 3 seconds, you end up getting a 0, which is definitely what we don't want. And you will have a total of 40 seconds to answer the question or describe the image. But make sure you don't use up all the 40 seconds, because after the 40 second, the microphone closes. So whatever you say after that will not be recorded, which means your scores will go down. So make a habit of doing it in about 35 seconds. So on the exam day, you could be getting 3 or 4 of these kind of questions. So generally, what are the questions asked for this module would be bar graph, line graph, table. These 3 will be having numbers. Maps is another one that can be given to you, so you'll have to explain. Make sure if you see a map, look out for the compass. If there is a compass, try to use that with directions like east, west, north, south, the standard directions. And apart from that, look for corners, the southeast, the northeast, and stuff like that. And also pie charts, they also have numbers, but pie charts generally give you percentages. So look for vocabulary like proportion, account for, collectively, stuff like that when you do your pie chart. And flow chart or pictures. Flow chart is generally a process where you see something being produced or manufactured, or it could be a step-by-step explanation of a certain activity or even a manufacturing without the diagram. You just get boxes with arrowheads. And lastly, pictures. So we've seen a lot of pictures being asked in PT. So a picture could have a person waiting in the train station. It could also be somebody doing some activity, a small family dinner table with kids enjoying their meal. So something like that can be asked. So these are the types of questions that you have to be aware of. Make sure you practice at least 1 or 2 of each type. And moving on to the scoring system for this question, you will be tested on your speaking skills. So that's the key. And enabling skills that are being evaluated are your content, pronunciation, and oral fluency. So content obviously means, did you pick the important stuff from the image that you were given? And did you explain them correctly? Pronunciation is important because this is a part of your speaking test. And obviously you need to maintain oral fluency to get a good score. So for content, you'll be marked from 0 to 5. Same applies for your pronunciation and oral fluency as well. A score of 5 would mean you've got it absolutely spot on. And if you don't manage to do that, it keeps going down. So if you describe all the key elements of the image with logical conclusion as well, and grammatically correct sentences, you end up getting 5 out of 5. So key elements can be defined in many different ways, but make sure you pick the highest and the lowest. Make sure you have a template ready for you to go during the exam day. Don't start scratching your head thinking, what should I do or how should I open up? It should be ready. Okay, so let's see some tips and things that you can do to be ready before you go for your exam. So split your time into 3 parts. So obviously the first 5 seconds, you could have an introductory sentence. So throw that out first. The given line diagram or pie diagram, whatever you see, illustrates. And on top of the diagram, you should have the heading. So use that for your introductory sentence. Also, you could squeeze in the unit if you wish to do that. So it's generally the title given to you. And then after that, in the next 25 seconds, describe the key components of the image. And in the last 5 seconds, conclude whatever you have to say. Your conclusions could start with something like overall. So you could explain the main trend. Is it going up? Is it going down? And you could also do something like, if it's a picture, so you could say overall, I see a family enjoying dinner on a dinner table. So something like that can be handy in your conclusion. In your introduction, try to kick off by saying this bar diagram represents, and then whatever the title says. On the x-axis, it's generally given on top. And in the description, in the middle section, you could say it can be clearly seen that, so tell me what the highest point is or the highest number is. And when you shift from highest to the lowest, make sure you throw in a connective. On the other hand, in contrast, on the contrary. So these are some handy stuff. And if you want to continue with the second highest or third highest, you could go with phrases or connectives like similarly, likewise, furthermore. And in the conclusion, like we mentioned before, you can kick off with the word overall. So some of the things that you should be doing during this test or during this module: use your grammar correctly, try to be as accurate as possible. Make sure you give a fluent speech while describing the image, and with correct intonations and pronunciations. So pronunciation and intonations are quite difficult to trace, especially when you're dealing with so many things at the same time. Even I have hiccups whenever I have to pronounce something slightly awkward. So don't worry too much about it, but try to be as accurate as possible. Obviously use a template to describe the image. Don't go in the exam hall with a blank head. So you should be very clear that you need an introduction, you need a few sentences in the body section, and then you'll also have to conclude to get good score. And avoid using umming or erring, so the sounds so these kind of sounds definitely reduce your fluency. There's absolutely no doubt about this. I've been telling this to you guys for a very long time now. So maintain fluency and pronunciation to get maximum marks, because even if you miss a few tricks from the bar graph or the pie chart here and there, but do make sure that you keep going, because fluency is critical. This is absolutely vital, and numbers are not that important. Even if you get a few numbers wrong here and there, don't worry too much. Get the rhythm going, get the beat going. So this is something for you guys to keep in mind. And in terms of stuff that you should not do, the first thing that comes to my mind is obviously don't use the whole 40 seconds. If you start making a habit of using the whole 40 seconds, a couple of words at the end of your sentence could be cut out, which means you will be throwing an incomplete sentence, which the AI will detect easily and reduce your marks. So make sure you try to wrap everything up before 40 seconds. Don't restart the answer even if you have a false start. So this is again something that students keep doing again and again. I've seen so many of my students do the same mistake. I keep telling them, forget whatever has happened, keep moving forward. If you restart and try to fix everything, it's not going to work in PTE examination. It's not like giving a face-to-face interview with a person where the person might say, it's okay, the student fixed it the second time. AI doesn't work like that. Make sure you keep moving ahead, because you don't want to hurt your fluency. And lastly, don't speak at a faster pace. Just use your normal pace. Make sure you keep it as natural as possible. So the template that we just discussed, the graph represents so and so. It can be clearly seen that. On the other hand, overall, the main trend. So let's try to experiment with one of these questions that I have on the screen. So I'm going to try and see if we can quickly come up with an answer for this. So the bar diagram is pretty visible to you all. In the x-axis, we've got dates. So 05 would mean what? Jan, Feb, March, April, May. And 04 would definitely mean April. So you've got Saudi Arabia, Libya, 2 countries. Source of data is given over here. Crude oil production, that's the story. All right, so I'm going to kick off. The given bar diagram represents the crude oil production in two nations, Saudi Arabia and Libya, from the May of 2010 to April 2011. It's quite obvious that Saudi Arabia produces far more oil than Libya. The production in Saudi Arabia ranges from 8,000 to 9,000 kilo barrels per day, while on the contrary, in Libya, it's around 1,000. Overall, a comparative analysis clearly shows that Saudi Arabia produces more crude oil than Libya. So this is how I recorded my answer quickly. So if you have noticed what I just did, instead of picking the numbers from all these graphs, I just quickly wrapped everything up with a word range. I'm not sure how many of you noted that, but that's one of the ways to do things in a real quick time. So I did talk about numbers. It's not that I skipped it altogether. So I said 8,000 to 9,000 KB/D. So this could be something new for you guys. Learn these kind of, I would say, acronyms. So KB, kilobarrels per day. So Saudi and Libyan obviously means Saudi Arabia and Libya. The full forms are given over here. The data has been sourced from IEAOMR. So this is something you could add if you wish to, if you have time. But more important are these numbers. And instead of picking them one by one, I just said what the range, and this one I said around 1,000. So if I had more time, I would obviously talk about this point where manufacturing or production was the lowest. But since it's just 40 seconds, out of which I need some seconds, around 5 to 7 seconds for my introduction, I need the same for my overview. So I don't have a lot of options. So make sure that you're not greedy. You don't want to be explaining all the details all the time. All right, so I hope you guys got a few ideas about how to do or deal with describe image question in your PTE. So this is another important question which contributes to your speaking. Practice a lot. If you want to study PTE, join us in our classes. We have a very well-organized, well-set-up class going on for PTE. We have morning shifts as well as afternoon shifts. So make sure you join us for your PTE lessons to improve your scores. We do allow our students to go through a lot of mock tests before they go give the final exam. So if you wish to study with us, let us know in the comments or follow us on social media and visit us at Kamaladi. We are located. It's very easy to find us if you just get to the Kamaladi Chowk. So I'll see you very soon in the next video. Until then, take care.